Olá, sejam bem-vindos à TV SBU na cobertura do 15º Congresso Internacional de Uro-Oncologia aqui em São Paulo. Hoje eu tenho a honra de estar aqui com o Dr. Karim Touijer, Dr. Touijer, which is a urologist from Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York and also a professor of Weill Cornell in New York. Thank you very much for being here with us. I'm very excited with you. You're my mentor from Memorial, and thank you very much for having me there. Well, I would like to start talking about your presentation that you gave here, but you also presented in firsthand last week in EAU, which was the update of your lymph node dissection limited versus extended trial. So this probably is a game changer result. So could you please tell us about the first results of the trial, which was in biochemical recurrence, and now the new results?
Thank you, Barbara, and thanks to everyone for having me. The Brazilian International Congress of Uro-Oncology, the scientific committee, and Dr. Fernando Maluf, it's a great opportunity to be here. And as you said, I'm pleased to report the results of our large trial of pelvic lymph node dissection, limited versus extended. The primary endpoint of the trial, as you know, was biochemical recurrence. In the first report, there was no difference. In the second updated report with more robust follow-up, there was still no difference in biochemical recurrence. However, we looked at the secondary endpoint and we found a statistically strong difference in any metastases and distant metastases, favoring the extended lymph node dissection versus the limited lymph node dissection. This is probably the first trial in lymphadenectomy, and particularly in prostate cancer, to show a difference.
Yeah, it was amazing because still no difference in biochemical recurrence, and you're explaining how could it be a difference in metastasis-free survival for these patients. And you're explaining that perhaps the templates and where you do the lymph node dissections is more important than numbers. So could you explain a little bit more for us?
That is absolutely true. It is surprising, and initially it's difficult to grasp the fact that the biochemical recurrence are comparable, but the metastatic outcome is different. When we see that, we think in a linear fashion that these patients are going to have biochemical recurrence, and then after a number of years, they're going to have difference in metastases. Where if you saw when we presented the trial results for the first time as a game changer at the European Association of Urology, we did a number of sensitivity analysis to see why is that happening and what is the group of patients that benefit the most.
Which was amazing. Then N positive patients benefit the most.
Right. And we saw a strong statistical difference favoring the extended lymph node dissection over the limited in pathologically N1 disease. Keeping in mind that most of these patients are clinically N0 when they enrolled in the trial.
Yes.
And so in the pathologically N1 disease, at least 43% of the patients already had persistent PSA, and the remainder developed a rapid biochemical recurrence. And so in that group of patients, whether they had a limited or extended, with a 42 and a 43% persistent PSA recurrence and a high rate of biochemical recurrence, we're not necessarily going to find a difference in biochemical recurrence. But with follow-up, we found a difference in metastases. And when we analyzed the data from radical prostatectomy to metastases, or from biochemical recurrence to metastases, we found the same results. And with regards to the number of nodes, we found that this difference in metastasis was independent of the number of nodes removed, which brings us to raise the hypothesis that perhaps the location of the lymph nodes might be important. This has to be validated and tested, this hypothesis, to see if it's truly a way to explain that this independence of lymph nodes and the metastatic outcome.
So can we say now that the template performed during the trial, which was sternal-iliac fossa obturator and hypogastrics, are the new gold standard for radical prostatectomies for all patients or for a subgroup of patients that...
The truth that has always been the gold standard.
Yes.
And in fact, at Memorial, we don't call this the extended pelvic lymph node dissection. We just call it the standard pelvic lymph node dissection. And that has been, for a number of years, the standard for staging.
Yes.
What this trial brings now is that missing link of showing that there is a therapeutic benefit. And in our case, in this trial, that we saw this benefit for the high-risk patients, the ones that are going to have pathologically N1 disease.
Great. So now perhaps we're shifting from lymph node dissections only for staging prostate cancer for the therapeutic benefit for these patients. Excellent. Could you please send a final message for the...
And so, yes. So I think the final message of this trial is, yes, it is providing us with that missing link of a therapeutic benefit in terms of metastases. With more follow-up, hopefully we might see difference in survival, but that's going to take quite some time, as you know, with the protracted natural history of prostate cancer. But what this trial tells us is the importance of local regional control of the disease. And it opens a number of questions that we need to answer on the biology of the cancer, the location, understanding how the impact of the surgical intervention can modify the metastatic process. And so there is a lot of work to be done, and I'm very excited because...
Some answers for a lot of questions.
Right. It's set the stage for a lot of biological fundamental questions in surgical oncology with dealing with this issue of removing the lymph nodes when we remove the primary, which this question is pretty much the same question, whether it's gastric cancer, lung cancer, and many other, ovarian cancer, many other cancers where the Hallstadian model of removing the primary, removing the lymph nodes, there is morbidity that could be associated with removing the lymph nodes, especially when we do these extensive lymph node dissections. And so certainly I'm very excited because we have work to do and questions to answer.
Great. Thank you very much for being here with us. It's such an honor. I cannot
Thank you for having me.
E vocês continuem acompanhando a TV SBU na cobertura do 15º Congresso Internacional de Uro-Oncologia. Não se esqueçam de se inscreverem no canal para continuarem recebendo as atualizações do portal da urologia.